Darwin. Greetings, this is the man who pretends to be Charles Darwin. Actually, I'm the author, Stanley A. Rice. My new book is Forgotten Landscapes: How Native Americans Created Pre-Columbian North America and What We Can Learn from It. And one of the things that the Native Americans, such as my tribe, the Cherokee tribe, created about the North American landscape was the domestication of crops. Tribes such as the Cherokees and many others survived by agriculture. And so there were Native American crops that our tribes domesticated from the wild that are different from the crops found in Europe and Asia and the Far East. That's explained in chapter 4 of my book. Native Americans domesticated many important crops. Two of them, corn and beans. That is, maize, what we call corn, and beans, certain kinds of beans. There were also beans in the Old World. Peppers, squash, and tomatoes. And also such important things as chocolate. Oh, we can't forget chocolate. Native American diet was healthy. First of all, Native Americans mostly ate meat, but the meat was venison and squab, that is passenger pigeons, which I describe in a separate video. And then of the vegetable food, there was protein complementarity. And what that means is that to get enough protein in your diet by eating vegetables, you have to have a balance of grains and legumes. Grains such as wheat and, in the case of North America, corn, or in the Orient, rice. Then those have a lot of protein in them, but there's a certain amino acid that they are lacking. But beans have that amino acid, but there's a certain amino acid that beans lack also. I think the solution is obvious to you, and that is you put the corn and the beans together. You put the grains and the beans together, and in North America, that was corn and beans mixed together, and then you have a complete protein complementarity. It's not complement as in one protein says to the other, oh, you're looking nice today, but rather complement as in to make complete. Now, people all over the world figured this out. They didn't know about proteins, they didn't know about amino acids, but they figured it out. So you had corn and beans in the New World, you had lentils and wheat in the Near East, and you had rice and soybeans in the Far East. So that's something that the Native American diet was healthy, just like everywhere else. Also, vitamin C. But vitamin C is found widely in fruits and vegetables. So the Native Americans got lots of vitamin C, but so also did Europeans and Asians when they had the opportunity to get fresh fruits and vegetables. But there is one way in which the Native American diet was much healthier than that of the Europeans. And that is, poor European peasants often had to eat rye. Rye was their main source of grain. And rye plants have a certain problem. There's a fungus called Ergot, Clavicix purpurea, that grows in the live rye plant. And as it grows, it produces spores, which mix in with the rye grains, get ground into the flour, and then when bread is made out of the flour, you have the toxin from the ergot fungus mixed in with the flour. This toxin is known as lysergic acid diethylamide, which is also known as LSD. And this toxin, LSD, has pathogenic effects on the human body. Long-term, mild pathogenic effects, which can add up over time, such as the stunting of fingers and the loss of fingers and things like that, in general, poor health. So the average European peasant was actually quite unhealthy because of eating rye that had certain non-lethal levels of LSD in it. Now, sometimes there were outbreaks of LSD, outbreaks of ergotism in the rye, and that was enough to start causing hallucinations among people. Now, this didn't happen all the time, but it happened frequently. The outbreaks were rare in Scandinavia, where the winters were too cold for the fungus, and also rare in Italy, where the summers were too hot and dry for the fungus. But in Central Europe, such as where we are right now in France, there were quite a few outbreaks of ergotism. People were going around having LSD trips, and they didn't know what was happening. And so they tried to explain it, and the way they did it was they thought, that woman over there is a witch. Or maybe the woman over there thought, I'm a witch. and they were hallucinating. The same was true with males and werewolves. So this is something that was happening to white Europeans, but also some of the white Europeans who came to the New World and tried to grow rye, such as the Salem witch trials. People were hallucinating on LSD from that. Well, one thing you gotta say about Native American diet, yes, like other places, protein complementarity. Yes, like other places, vitamin C, such as you would find in tomatoes and peppers and squash. But one thing that stood out about Native American diet, no ergotism. This is the man who pretends to be Charles Darwin, Stanley Rice, the author of Forgotten Landscapes, Tally-Ho and Amen.